Hello, welcome to this nutshell video on the difference between an IEP and a 504 plan. I've chosen 5 differences. The first is the laws that they fall under. The IEP comes from an education law called the IDEA. It's the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And this law says that students with disabilities have the right to a free, appropriate public education. 504 plans fall under 2 civil rights laws, the Americans with Disabilities Act and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. And these laws are designed to prevent discrimination based on disability. So these laws say that students with disabilities have the right to the same education as students who don't have disabilities. The second difference is the definition of disability. Both of these plans use the word disability, but they have very different meanings. Under an IEP, the disability is considered an educational disability, and to qualify, you have to fit into one of the categories that are set out in the law. And the law has different categories of eligibility, and in order to qualify for an IEP, you have to meet the criteria that are within those categories. There's very specific ways that you qualify for an IEP. Under 504, the definition of disability is much more broad. So under the Americans with Disabilities Act, the definition of disability is a physical or mental impairment that affects one or more major life activities. So you can see that's a much more broad definition. So the third difference is the level of support that these 2 plans offer. An IEP offers the most support. It offers specialized instruction that is designed to meet the unique needs of the student. So this is for students with disabilities who have disabilities who affect their education to the point of needing specialized instruction. 504 provides accommodations. So it's still for students with disabilities, but it provides accommodations that will provide the same access to education as peers who don't have disabilities. So it's designed to level the playing field, to lessen the impact of the disability. So an accommodation under a 504, an example may be small group testing, or a copy of the notes, or preferential seating. So it's not individualized instruction, it's more accommodations to help the student get access to education. So the fourth difference is progress monitoring, how we monitor progress. With an IEP, there are goals in each IEP, and there's data collection. They collect data on how a student is doing on meeting his goals. And parents of students with IEPs get progress reports that give them information on how the students are doing toward meeting their goals. And often the progress reports are better information on how the students are doing than the report card. Students with IEPs still get a report card just like all the other kids do. So under 504, there aren't any goals. So students with 504s get the same report card as the other kids do. And one of the questions that I have sometimes is, how do we know that a 504 plan is working? So if you have questions about whether your 504 plan is working, you can reach out to your 504 team and talk to the administration about, are the accommodations working, or do they need to be tweaked? Or do you need to add additional support? You can add MTSS interventions to a 504 plan to provide more support for a student who may still be struggling. And that'll give you some information about whether the student needs even more support, maybe with an IEP. Those are different videos. So the fifth difference is funding. This is a big difference because an IEP comes with funding and a 504 doesn't come with any funding. So each district gets federal and state funding for the kids who have IEPs and the services that are in those IEPs. There's even something called an SB10 scholarship or a special needs scholarship. The name of the law is SB10. And what that is a parent can take the funding that the district gets for the services in their student's IEP, and they can apply it toward private school tuition. There's some requirements around that, so I encourage you to take a look. You can go to the Georgia Department of Education website and look for Special Needs Scholarship or SB10, and you can find that information. So one of the questions I get often is, which is better? Is an IEP better than a 504 plan? And there's not really one that's better than the other. It's really based on what a student needs. In my opinion, the best plan for a student is the one that meets their needs. Some parents want their kids to have IEPs because they feel like that's more support. And it is more support, but it's not necessarily the best plan because we don't want to provide more support than a student needs. That would be enabling a child and not supporting a child. So in my opinion, the best support, the best plan is the one that it meets the child's needs. If you want to talk about this and you're a Coweta County parent, absolutely reach out to me and let's talk it through. If you're not a Coweta County parent, you can go to parentmentors.org and see if you've got a parent mentor in your county. I hope you do. You can also go to the Georgia Department of Education website. They've got a lot of information. And the Parent to Parent of Georgia website. They've got a great website as well as an 800 number that you can call to ask questions. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.